The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tualatin Valley, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33673. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start just under the front bumper area, where you'll find closed tow hooks located on the frame rails, right and left side. You'll also find fog lights located just underneath the front bumper. Moving up onto the bumper face, you'll find 2 mechanical sirens located on the passenger and driver side. Just inside of that location, you'll find dual air horns. As we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll find a D handle to gain access into the tubbed hose storage area. Inside that area, you'll find dry deck material. As we move all the way to the driver's side, you'll find your front discharge on a swivel 1.5 inches. Moving upward, you'll see the headlight structure consisting of the low and high beam headlights and a turn indicator. Let's move to the side of the apparatus, where you'll find grab handles at all points of entry for personnel ease and access inside the cab. You also have latched handles with keyed locks. Let's now move to the pump panel area. We'll discuss some of the items within this area, first starting up in the gray area. The pump panel does have the ability to be removed by simply releasing the 2 latches and dropping the front down on a hinged area. In the gray area, you'll find your master intake. Moving to the right, you'll find your master discharge. These are your 2 master gauges. In between the 2 of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged. Let's move now to the next gray area, which has to do with your engine information. Around the outside, you'll find your oil, water, volts, and fuel. Moving to the center, you'll find a tachometer. Let's talk a little bit about some of the warning indicators. You do have 3 warning indicators that would be yellow if illuminated: check transmission, check engine, and low fuel. In the red, you'll find oil, stop engine, low battery, and water temperature. Out to the right side, just outside of that gray area, you'll find your pump overheat. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does have the ability to dampen the sound. Let's move down now. First, let's talk a little bit about some of your discharges. First, this is the yellow deluge discharge, and you can see it's a 12-to-1 ratio on your wheel valve. You also have panel lights, OK to pump indicator, driver side lights, passenger side lights, rear flood, and also a DPF regen inhibit with an active indicator light. Let's move to the right, where you'll find in this blue module your water tank level. Moving further over to the pump boss area, if illuminated, it would be yellow, would be a check engine light. Located between the check engine light and the stop engine light, you'll find a digital RPM. Moving to the right, you'll find the red, if illuminated, stop engine. Moving down in the same module, you'll find a blue menu button allowing you to scroll through the various functions of pressure, throttle control. Located across the center area, you'll find diagnostic engine information. In the red, a silence button to silence the audible alarm. As we move down, you'll find once again the pressure and throttle options selected through the menu button. In the center, you'll find a digital readout. Located to the right, you'll find a green throttle ready indicator. And then just beneath that, you'll find a green preset button if you choose to utilize presets. Down at the very bottom, you'll find your throttle. Right to increase, left to decrease, and located in the center, you'll push for idle. Just beneath that Pump Boss FRC module, you'll find a black round audible speaker. Once again, the outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. And then just beneath that, you'll find an air horn button. Moving up to the top, you'll find a twist engine cool, not a pull. And we'll talk a little bit about your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side are the associated GPMs for that test pressure, and on the right-hand side are the associated RPM. You also have the job number and also information here regarding a governed speed of 1980. Let's move now to the discharges. You can see that they are color-coded and they are also labeled. As we move down, you'll find a warning label here regarding pressure hazard. Because of those caps that may be under pressure, be cautioned when opening those. You will find your fire pump primer with instructions just below that you need to be at least 1,000 for best practices for priming. And you'll also find a warning label regarding fall hazard. Moving back up to the top, we're going to find your tank fill and recirculating line, and then just beneath that you'll find the tank to pump. There are instructions here on your minimum operation maintenance schedule. It has to do with the placard we talked about earlier. We'll move to the left where your large diameter pump intake, and then moving to the right you'll find your wattress placard indicating the type of pump you have and the capacity of 1,500 GPM. As we move to the left, you'll find a warning label here regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. And also in that same area you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female inlet. To the right you'll find your garden hose outlet. And then moving further to the right, you'll find all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving further to the right on the pump panel, you'll find an air supply. This is a twist, not a pull. Moving further down, you'll find an air outlet with an air outlet chuck just below that. And then you'll find your manual pump shift. There are instructions and caution information on that manual pump shift. Moving all the way to the left, you'll find your pump drain. This is your main pump drain. Looking down into the area just beneath the pump panel, you'll find a tubbed storage location on the running board. Let's move back up to the top here in the upper left-hand corner. On the cab itself, you'll find an indicator regarding water level in your tank, backboard storage in the first compartment, and also additional hose storage on this pan door. Let's move up to the dunnage area where you'll find your extended gun for your master stream device located in the center. As we move to the outer edges, this is going to be to the rear of the master stream device, you'll find LED lighting. Also on that master stream device, you do have top level control for deluge discharge for an open and close, and there's also instructions here regarding your extended gun for elevating the nozzle location. Let's look to the cab now where you'll find these stickers. Hard to see in this image, but this is non-walking surface, and therefore we've placed these warning labels that this is a non-walking surface. You'll also find in the dunnage area your water fill tank location. This is the top of your water tank and fill location for the top of your tank. Let's take a quick look backwards. You'll find these yellow diamonds around the outer edge indicating for firefighter safety a walking area, and it's also covered in tread material. Just a general view here of the side of the apparatus. Let's first start with the first compartment past the pump panel. In this compartment, you've got pegboard adjustable shelvings, and then we'll start in the upper left-hand corner with the S1. This is when plugged into shore power, this will be activated as a breaker box. There are indications here just beneath that regarding a warning label regarding electrical shock hazard. Once again, when plugged into shore power, your shoreline outlet will activate. This is a 20 amp plug, and it's only energized when you're plugged into shore power. Here's a breakdown of the breakers itself for the S1. Let's move further down in the same compartment where you'll find two USB 12 volt access points, and then just beneath that you'll find a single barrel style 12 volt access point. Let's now move to the area in front of the rear tire where you'll find bottle storage location. This is for 3 SCBA bottles with safety retaining straps. Let's move to the middle compartment where you'll find your tool board. This is a D handle that opens that tool board, gains access to both sides. When it's fully extended, it will lock in position. The lock is on the hinge side on the inside of the compartment. As we look to the rear of the rear wheel, you'll find the ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. That's the silver cap. As we fold down the flap, you'll find the 4.5 US gallon DEF tank, which is blue. Moving to the rear, there are adjustable shelves in this compartment and also a tray. The release mechanism is down on the lower right. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, first starting with the tail lights, you have an emergency light, brake, turn, and also backup lights. Moving further up, you'll find 2 cupped switches. We'll go over that in just a moment. There's also rear-facing scene lights, one on the passenger and driver's side rear, ample fold-down steps to gain access to go aloft. You also have 2.5-inch discharges in the rear, and also in the very center, a backup camera. Down in the lower section, just beneath that backup camera, you will find an additional door, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, let's talk about those cup switches. There are 2 rear scene lights and also the air ride dump, allowing you to drop the tailboard down lower. As we move up top, you can see there's emergency warning lights and grab handles. As we move just down from this location, you'll find the driver's rear discharge. It's a 2.5-inch discharge. And on the opposite side, you'll find the passenger rear discharge, also a 2.5-inch discharge. There are hose bed dividers along inside which are adjustable. As we move to the very bottom section, underneath the very section of the camera, you'll find an additional storage location with dry deck material inside this area. Once again, we'll go over a few things here. First, starting with the tail lights. At the very top of the tail light, you'll find an emergency warning light, a brake, a turn, and a backup light. You also have a slanted tailboard to prevent damage. As we move down to the next compartment, you'll find a pull-out style tray, and then also a fill location on this side for your ultra-low sulfur diesel. As we move forward to this location, you're going to find the equipment rack reservoir. This is a hydraulic oil reservoir, and the red cap is where you would fill that. Let's move just over the rear tire where you'll find an emergency warning light, and then you'll also find in this compartment, as if all the other compartments, dry deck material, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and also a ventilation system within the compartment spaces. Moving just forward of this location would be the front area of the rear tire. You'll find, once again, bottle storage location for your SCBAs with safety retaining straps. As we move to the next compartment, I would like to point out the lower section here is a warning label regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. Moving up from that, in this next compartment, you'll find 120 volt access, once again when plugged into shore power. Just up from that, you'll find 12 volt access. And then we'll talk a little bit about this performance item at the very top as I get a little bit better image of it for you. First, once again, shoreline outlet, 20 amp, 120 VAC. When plugged into shore power, this is activated. And then you also have 12 volt barrel style and also 2 USB. Moving just up from this location, you'll find your Pro Mariner. This is going to be a device that helps maintain and stabilize battery charging. As we move to the forward section here, just a general view of the entire truck in itself with all three compartments closed. As we look overhead, you'll find your equipment rack, which houses a 24-foot and a 14-foot roof, also including a 10-foot folding ladder. Next, we'll move to the midsection of the pump area. We'll talk a little bit about what's behind this pan door, first starting with the intake relief valve. As we move also to the next side or to the right of this location, you'll find your powered equipment rack, instructions to raise and lower. And then also, in case there is some sort of a battery failure, you have your hydraulic rack hand pump. This does flip down to gain access to that valve, allowing you to lift or to lower. As we move to the next compartment, same compartment through compartment you can see as you did on the driver's side. Just down below, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. To the right in the green section, you'll find your large diameter passenger side discharge, and then also the number 3 passenger side discharge in orange. Let's move down and slightly to the right of the same pump panel area with the passenger side auxiliary inlet. This is a 2.5-inch female. As we move to the left, you'll find all your associated color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Let's move all the way to the far left-hand side of this area, and you'll find your relief valve drain, and then a tubbed storage location for additional hose storage in the lower section below the pump panel. Just a general view here of the side section of your cab. We'll talk a little bit about the contents, starting first with the door and the door panel. On each door panel, you'll find warning labels for firefighter safety. In the rear section, you'll find these red grab handles at the hinge section to allow firefighters ease and access in and out of the cab. As we move inside, you'll find your EMS compartments, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and also switches on each of those compartments. There are 3 seats located across the rear of your apparatus back wall, and you also have LED box lights on the right and left-hand side of the cab. Just another general view here of some of the compartments within inside. As we now move to the front section or officer's area, you'll find on that door panel once again additional safety information and warning labels. Moving just upward, you'll find door locks and also window controls. And as we move down to about the floor level, you'll also find the foot pedal, which will control your mechanical siren. Also moving up to the very top section, you'll find on the dash additional buttons for your air horn and also mechanical siren. Here are some quick close-ups of those items that we just talked about. First on the foot pedal, your mechanical siren. Also just to the left, you'll find an additional spotlight which has a magnet background. And then moving up to the very top section, you'll find air horn and mechanical siren push buttons. Let's look overhead from the officer's seat, and you'll find in the very center seatbelt information. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then also you'll find your control for your PA system and siren. And then just beneath that in the center, you'll find a red flashing light. If that is flashing, it's indicating you have a door or compartment ajar, including your equipment rack. This is once again going to be the EQ2B. This is your siren control module. As we move to the dash area, you'll find 12-volt access here. This is going to be USB style. And then just in front of that, you're going to find your vehicle data recorder port. Let's go ahead and now move to the driver's area, first starting with the door panel, where you'll find all of your warning and safety information affixed to the panel. Then as we move inside, about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find some more warning and caution labels, but you'll also find a yellow placard. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Down at the lower section, we have an air inlet. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. First, once again, let's go over some of those warning labels affixed here. These are all the warning labels combined within the apparatus. As we move up to the top section for your latch, you'll also find the red door lock. This is for manual door lock. And to the right, you have a electric door locks and also window control. Let's move back down to the air inlet. You'll also find a green indicator that the shoreline power is on. And then just up from that, you'll find the shoreline inlet. This happens to be a 30 amp plug. Let's go back to that Pierce manufactured for Tualatin Valley Fire Department. You'll find the date of manufacture, job number, which is that 5-digit number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation. You'll also find the VIN number, and also all of the components, fluid capacities, and fluid types for your apparatus. Let's move back down to about the floor level. Left foot, you'll find the mechanical siren foot pedal. About the left knee area, you'll find an audible speaker here. Once again, the outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. Moving to the right, we're going to find diagnostic information port. As we move further down, you'll find your command zone and also your display diagnostic ports. On the right, you'll find two switches, one engine diagnostics and the other is ABS diagnostics. As we move up from this location, you'll find the master battery switch. It is the red quarter turn switch. As we move to the left-hand side of the dash, you'll find the ignition and start, and above that, panel lights, which allows you to brighten or dim the panel, and then also your park and headlights. As we move just to the right, you'll find this placard, height 10 feet 3 inches, length 31 feet 6 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 49,800 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle that may affect any of these, please update this placard. Let's now take a look at the panel here. We'll first start at the bottom with the transmission oil, DEF level, fuel level, front air, and rear air. Moving up from that location, you'll find water temperature. The two large gauges, your tachometer and speedometer. And then on the right, you'll find your volts. There's also high beam, right and left turn indicator flashers in the dash also. On the right-hand side of the dash, you're going to find all of your diagnostic information that will illuminate. Just beneath that, you'll find the backup alarm cancel, load manager, OK to engage the high idle, a high idle switch, auto start, the air dump, and then also the EQ2B siren brake. That's for your mechanical siren, and then also perimeter lights. Let's take a look at the cab now. On the right-hand side, you'll find climate control in the upper right-hand corner, or I should say left-hand corner. We've got two sets of switch banks, which we'll go over those in just a few moments. Moving to the right, you're going to find your Pierce Command Information Center. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. All of your information will display on this panel. Just beneath it, you'll find the parking brake. And then as we move further down, you'll find your Allison transmission patch, which is a push button, and a note also to pump in drive. And then to the right, we're going to find your pump shift, and we'll go over that in just a few moments. Let's first go back up to climate control. You do have air conditioning and heat and also defrost within this area right here at the fingertips of the operator. Moving down, you'll find your engine brake and settings for low, medium, and high. You have off-road traction, mirror heat, a DPF regen switch, and also a DPF regen inhibit in red. Let's move down to the next set of switches. These are going to be all of your window controls for driver side, passenger side, and then also cab, driver, and passenger side. As we move back up to the Pierce Command Zone, the buttons down in the lower section, there are 5 of them with also a directional button in the center. As we move further down, you'll find your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release,
Just beneath that area on the right-hand side, you'll find your driver's side mirror and passenger side mirror controls. And let's head back now to the pump shift. You need 2 green indicators here for pump operations. There are instructions here from road to pump and also from pump to road. Once again, 2 green indicators for exiting the cab for pump operations. Just behind the driver's seat, you will find a speaker which allows you to communicate, or at least hear, from the back of your vehicle. There is volume control in the lower right-hand corner of that. Also in the dash area, you're going to find easy access to all of your breakers and fuses. Just behind the seat, you'll also find your EQ2B module. As we move to the other side, this is going to be the officer side behind the seat. You're going to find your SA1. This is a shore power. This is a slave panel to the S1 panel, and it also controls your refrigerator. Just a general view here of the 3 seats across the back, which do have SCBAs in them. As we move to the side, you're going to have just a quick look in here. The black on the left-hand side is going to be your refrigerator. You can see it here in the open position. And then as we look overhead in the cab area, you can see your heat and air conditioning located overhead. Just underneath that pedestal where the rear seats are, you'll find 2 drop-down access panels for storage. Congratulations, Tualatin Valley, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33673. If you have any questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.